Hey, what's up everyone? LTC here and welcome back to another episode of GameTime TV. If you enjoy athletic-based content and want to hear more, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to GameTime TV on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at GameTime TV 19 and on X at GameTime YT. Now, let's get started.
Everyone, my name's Haleigh Stokes. I'm a sophomore here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and the sports that I was so honored to be an athlete in was gymnastics and all-star cheer, track and field, and women's wrestling.
Now, how did sports shape your identity and relationships?
For me, it really gave me some lifelong friendships, people that I rely on even to this day. And like my personality and kind of the way that I live my life, it gave me a lot of structure and discipline that I still carry, even though I'm no longer an active athlete.
Okay. Cold open questions.
Yeah.
What's a moment in your sports career where you felt overlooked or doubted?
It was definitely probably my final year as an all-star competitive cheerleader. My team was shrinking as we were slowly losing members to bigger teams, and my coach slowly started to kind of look over me as one of the supports, being a back spot and base for some of our main stunts. I didn't do a whole lot of tumbling, so I was kind of towards the back, and I kind of lost his main focus when it came to competition.
And that was with cheerleading, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I do have some questions about cheerleading. When did you start doing cheerleading?
I started cheerleading at 12.
When coaches recognize that you'll be a pretty good cheerleader, how's that interaction work?
Usually it happens after your first official season. They start to realize kind of where you're going to be fitting best within the team. For me, I was pretty strong, pretty heavy set when it came to being able to push my strength with my upper body. So that solidified my spot as kind of like a base and back spot for some of our main stunts. And so a lot of my coach's focus is shifted from more of my flexibility to more strength training. So while other girls were getting their splits, I was curling barbells.
Jeez, can you currently do a split?
Yes, I do currently have both my left and right splits. It's something that I obtained on my own years after.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, have you ever felt your experience as an athlete different because of your gender?
Yes, very much so. And this definitely comes into play when looking at women's wrestling. I was one of the founding core members of the women's wrestling program at my high school. And so my first practice, I was one of 5, and there were over 90 boys wrestling at that time. And so I walked into practice in spandex and a tank top, and all of a sudden some kids who I've been going to school with since elementary school looked up at me as if I was a chicken walking into a fox den. And it was really interesting because my coaches also didn't really know how to coach me because it's a completely different dynamic. And so it was a learning curve for not only me learning a new sport, but also my coaches and my teammates learning how to adapt with me being alongside them.
How so is it like, man, I really would want to ask a coach this, but what will be the difference between like a guy wrestler and a girl wrestler? Because how do dynamics shift?
Women's wrestling is a lot more aggressive. It sounds a lot more aggressive. It sounds crazy to say, but I have seen more injuries happen because of women's wrestling than because of men's, because we do not care. We step on that mat, we have something to prove. Men's wrestling has been around for as long as sports have been around. I mean, it's going back to the Colosseum days in Rome. Women's wrestling, on the other hand, just started to kind of make its debut in the early 2010s, coming like a named sport. And so we have so much more to prove. We have to prove that we belong there. We have to prove that we're not going to break under the pressure of our sport. And so when we go out on that mat, we're not just wrestling for that title that day. We're not just wrestling to win that match, to win that championship. We are wrestling so that in 12 years, when a little girl decides that she wants to start wrestling, she doesn't feel like she has to be held back. She has all of these role models to look up to.
That is excellent. What I have to say to that is, one, that is very inspirational because all the women or little girls that listen to this, I know you don't want to hear from a man, be honest. But I want y'all to understand that just because a certain sport is dominated by males, that doesn't mean that you are automatically disqualified from playing that sport. Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, wrestling, soccer. Baseball and softball are different, so that's separate for like a different thing. But just because you are a woman, that does not mean that you are just disqualified from playing any sport. You can play whatever sport you want. And you talked about earlier how some of the boys that you were with in high school looked at you like they were foxes, and you were like, I forgot the that you
hen in a fox den.
Yeah, a hen in a fox den. I'm gonna say this right now, fellas. Y'all better stop looking at women like that, because, and I'm not afraid to say this. When I was in middle school, I didn't really doubt the female competitor that I was going against, because in middle school, did you wrestle in middle school?
I had the opportunity to, but I was afraid of the stigma. I was still heavily involved in cheer at that point in time, and one of my best friends had started wrestling, and she was wrestling guys.
Yeah.
And she is 105 pounds.
Yeah.
And watching her, I was just completely amazed. But like many girls that I have still encountered at my high school when I go back, they are so afraid of what it's going to bring, because it is a really hard step. You're talking to someone who went from wearing sparkles, bedazzles, bows, and dancing on stage for 2 minutes to all of a sudden my hair is braided back. Actually, I cut off all my hair. I was wearing a singlet. I all of a sudden was covered in sweat every single day. My body ached. I was watching everything I ate. And so it was a huge shift. But there's nothing more rewarding than walking off that mat and having my male teammates standing by that mat, cheering me on, encouraging me, being amazed at how far I came. Mm-hmm. My first year of wrestling, my first duel, I won against a seasoned wrestler. I stepped on that mat, and it was unlike anything I had ever felt. And that is adrenaline that I still chase to this day, even though I'm not a collegiate athlete. Mm-hmm. And so what I have to say is to any little girls, any girls listening to this, whether it's football, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, like, put a man in his place. Do not be afraid to, because if they are going to put a limit on what you can do, see it as a goal to break it. See it as a challenge. Like, rise up to it and completely destroy the glass ceiling that the sports industry has put on us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? As a man, I'm not afraid to say this. And this is where I was going to. So in middle school in Nebraska, I don't know if it's separate in other states, but in middle school in Nebraska, you can face different genders: guy, girl, guy, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember in this tournament that I was in when I was in middle school, I had lost to a guy. Okay. Then I won against a girl. Great. So I was feeling myself. Now, when it came to a female opponent, which was my next person I was going to face, I wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is a woman, I'm going to dominate her, because that'd be stupid. But going into that match, once the match started, then again, middle school was how many years ago? Long story short, I lost. Was I mad that I lost to a woman? No. But I want all the little girls out there, all the females out there, to know that you can dominate a male. It's like, it's not impossible. Like, that stigma of you don't want to go into a sport because you're a female and that's more of a male-dominated sport. Get rid of that. Get rid of it. Because who cares? I guarantee you right now, especially in how sports is nowadays, if a woman was to walk into a wrestling gym or any kind of gym, would male athletes look at her weird now? No, because it's now common. It's normal. Like, sometimes, like, somebody's gonna have like be kind of uncomfortable with a woman being there, but at the end of the day, like, are you really going to? Does it really affect you that much?
I was about to say, the one thing that I still live by, and it's something that I'm sure so many people have heard throughout the years, and it's something my coaches would always quote constantly, obsession will beat talent.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I stepped into that wrestling gym, the moment that I started practice, the moment that I found my groove within the world of wrestling, I became obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
I would put in for an instance, a regular school day for me, I would wake up at 4:45. I would go to pre-day training from 5 to 7. I would then go to school from 7:30 to 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to practice from 4 o'clock to sometimes 7 o'clock at night. And even after that, I would still put in hours after that of stretching, training, weight training. And it showed throughout the years. And I know some of my male teammates that they wouldn't do early morning training. They'd go to school, they'd go to practice, they'd go home. That was that. And it showed. I made varsity, they didn't. And so yeah, I put in the work, and although I may have not have wrestled them individually, I might not have proved my strength against them individually, I was standing at the podium at the end of the season and they weren't.
At the end of the day, who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I said this in I think episode 2, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Exactly.
It goes for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. You can be the most talented male in whatever sport you're in. But if there is a woman who has put in a lot of hard work to become better at her craft in that sport, and you really haven't as a guy, I'm not going to lie, I will take the woman. I'm taking a woman over you if I was betting.
Yeah. And something to add on to that is women 99% of the time have to work harder in their sports.
Yeah.
As a former cheerleader, I had male teammates. They could jump twice as high. They could move twice as fast. That's something that we could not do immediately. We did not have that biological advantage. So we had to work hard to get to that. And even in wrestling, when it came to throwing opponents, matching opponents' strength and speed, that's something that I had to work at. I had to do trains. I had to do drills. And I'm not saying that every guy is just naturally talented like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are advantages, and that's something that cannot be ignored. And so yeah, like you can have two naturally talented wrestlers and they can be in the exact same weight class and start at the exact same point. And one can just do the basic bare minimum, going to practice, going to occasional training and wrestling. And the other can put in the work. They can train outside. They can do all these camps. They can do all this extra. And I guarantee you, I know which one is going to do better.
Absolutely. And you know what? Because we do have, I'm going to move on to the next question. But I'm going to say this to end off this. Guys, when you see a female that's grinding hard, give her props. And you know what? Vice versa. Anybody that sees somebody else working hard to achieve their dreams, give them props. Like, there is no reason why you should be looking at somebody and say, well, they can work as hard as they can do whatever they want. I'm still going to be better than them. Doesn't matter if it's biologically, gender-wise. I'm going to be better than them. No, because if you don't have that grind mindset, you don't have that walk-on mindset that me and David were talking about, you're basically capping your, I will say experience, but
potential.
Yeah, you're capping your potential by you just thinking that your talent's going to take you everywhere. Not all the time, because coaches can see talent. Like, that's not that hard to see. But what coaches want to see besides talent, they want to see your work ethic. What is your work ethic? You talked about your work ethic, Haleigh. You talked about your work ethic. Let's say if I was a coach, if I saw your work ethic as a coach, I would be more inclined to put you out on the mat versus a guy who thinks he's all that and has the basic talents but doesn't work hard. I'm putting you over anybody. Like, any female, I will put over a guy that has natural talent. I'll put that female who works hard over a guy that has natural talent. And vice versa. If a guy, well, no, because no guy would probably go into I'm probably going to leave that there because I don't know if guys don't really play softball like that.
No.
So I don't know if a guy would go into, what would you consider like a female dominant sport?
Gymnastics and cheerleading.
Okay, fair. That's fair. That's fair. Dance as well.
Oh, yes. Competitive dance.
Competitive dance. That's another thing that people don't generally think about when it comes to athletics. Dance counts as athletics as well.
Oh, yeah.
And people's like, well, they're not doing any. I want you to go to a dance club, go to a dance gym, and I want you to work out with them and come back and tell me that that's not athletics.
I was about to say, you watch a video and then try and mimic it and not confuse your right and left, and I will applaud you.
Because there's only one person I know that was on the dance team, and she's at this point in time, she's currently still at Iowa Western, which is the school I came from before I came here. And she's a pretty good dancer. And I talked to her about this situation about dance and athletics and stuff like that, and how people don't really respect it like that. Same thing when people think about when in cheerleading. Because they're like, well, is that really a sport? I'm like, have you seen competitive cheerleading?
There were only 2 of my teammates that didn't have six packs that were visible.
And you know what? I think I know one guy who didn't have a six pack and was doing competitive cheerleading. Dude was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Like, the six pack is not even relevant, but I'm just saying, like, that is a testament to what we do. And you know what? One of my former teammates, he is now a cheerleader at SMU.
Oh.
And he is 270 pounds and can drop into the splits. I would love to see another man try and do that.
You're not catching me doing it. Other reasons, I'm not trying to. The fact that he can do it, he's that flexible, I give him props to that. But I think if I try to do it, I wouldn't even attempt because I would have the fear of hitting something I don't want to say. and me just yelping. So I'm not gonna go into that.
But yeah, I think sports does not have a gender.
It doesn't, no.
Like, it's something that is just kind of being realized today. But if you have the will to go up to the challenge of the sport, you can do it.
Absolutely.
So,
like saying, leave no doubt. Every sport you go into, leave no doubt. Now, the next question I want to get into was, what's something people don't understand about being a student athlete in your view?
Yeah, so in my view is a lot of people either forget one or the other. They forget that they're an athlete or they forget that they're a student. Because I cannot tell you how many times it was, Coach, can I get the mobile Wi-Fi password? I have a paper due at 10 o'clock tonight and we're on the bus home from a duel. I'm exhausted. Or all of us cramming into a hotel room overnight, trying to collaborate on homework assignments or begging our teachers for extensions because we focused on the athletics. And then I had some of my friends that were like, oh, yeah, I didn't come to weight training today. I had a presentation in class. And so it is the balance of it because, yes, you are a student before you are an athlete because especially in high school, it is important getting your high school diploma, especially if you want to go collegiate because no collegiate coach is going to look at you if you have below a 3.5. Yeah. They will not care. You could be the best of your year. You could have all these state titles, be a nationalist, be a high school All-American, and they will not care if you do not have a 3.5. And that is something that our coaches stress so much. And so, yeah, the thing people don't understand about being a student athlete is carrying that title. Those 2 words change your entire life because hanging out with friends, don't know what that is. Relaxation, haven't heard from her in weeks. And so it's the understanding that for those 4 years, regardless if those are the last 4 years of your sport or the 4 years that are going to be creating an even bigger possibility for your sport, you have to prioritize both the student and the athlete.
Absolutely. You know what? Because me and David in previous episodes, we talked about, especially when it came to relationships and balancing being a girlfriend and balancing being a student athlete. And how you have to focus on being a student athlete first. Though you're going to have time for your significant other, like there's going to be times that you're going to be with your significant other, but you're going to have to like understand and separate like your social life, your student life, and your athlete life.
Yeah. I was super fortunate in high school. I had an amazing high school boyfriend, and he was also a wrestler and a football player. And so we did a lot together because we were on the same schedule. We studied together. The rare moments of relaxation during season, the moment season was over, our lives like began to open up. And so yeah, it is an extremely hard balance, and it is something that I like witnessed kind of putting a strain on our relationship. But now, as someone myself who works in athletics for the university, when I see some of the boys that I work for, some of our athletes put time to hang out with their girlfriends, to build their relationships, it makes me so happy because they are adding another word to student athlete, and that is significant other. And that is not something that a lot of people can prioritize, because I have seen relationships end, and I've had relationships end because of athletics and the importance of their life. And I will never blame someone for ending a relationship over athletics, because I would honestly choose my sport over many people most days.
You know what's crazy? So anyone on YouTube, I'm going to pin this in the top. I'm going to pin this probably on the top of the video or in the comments. But go back to the first episode when me and Dave were talking about, the episode was Love, Discipline, and Identity, Athletes Foundation. That was the episode. Sorry, I forgot it. But yeah, me and David, we talked about that exact same scenarios and how athletes should handle being in a relationship when it came to either athlete to athlete or athlete to non-athlete. Like, majority of it is just basically communicating, like be a great communicator. Now, we're finally going to move on to our first segment, even though that was pretty long opening. Compare and contrast experiences. And Haleigh, how would you describe your experience being a student athlete in one word, and why?
It's going to sound a little interesting, but draining. Because
Tell me about it. Tell me about
it. You have to want it. You have to wake up every single day and choose it, because there was very rarely a day that I would wake up and severely question it. Like, I would wake up and be like, if I don't go to practice today, would that really be the end of the world? Like, if I just choose to kind of step back this season, would anyone really notice? Like, would it really change the like outcome of my life? And looking back at it now, as someone who chose to walk away from the chance of collegiate athletics and just chose to be a normal student, there is not a single day that goes by that my alarm does not go off. And sometimes I wish it was earlier in the morning. Sometimes I wish that I had a protein bar and a protein shake waiting for me and I had to drive to the gym. Because in the moment, when I was in high school and that was the life I was living, and I knew I had homework due that night, and I knew I had a test to study for, and I knew I had a tournament that weekend, it was something that I did dread, and it was something that weighed on me so much. But now that I don't have that, now that I don't have the opportunity to even choose that lifestyle, it is something I miss so dearly. And so, yeah, you take the good with the bad. You take the days where you have a tournament over the weekend and you have a test and you have 6 assignments due at midnight. But then you take the weeks where you finish all your homework early and you have an off week and you get to just kind of enjoy being a kid in that little moment. But being a student athlete is draining, and it is a choice. And it is something that I will always applaud someone for choosing.
Yeah. And you know what? And when it comes to me, I 100% agree with you. I would also say draining is number one, because not only because I was a high school athlete, I was also a JUCO athlete as well. I was doing esports and I was in track and field. I mostly did throwing, but that draining part, like getting up in the morning, like dreading it, and it sucks so much. And I remember in the beginning part of my coach basically had us get up around, we had practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I literally got up around like either 4:30 or 5 o'clock to make sure I was dressed up, did everything before I left. And I low-key hated it, but I also understood that this is the life of an athlete. This is the life of a student athlete. Why I shouldn't be complaining, because this is something that I wanted to do. It's the only way you have to go through the fire. Like you can't just sit here and complain about every single thing.
Something that really pushed me my junior year was one of my teammates who lived and breathed the sport of wrestling. He had been wrestling since before he could walk, both, like, his dad was a wrestler, his grandfather was a wrestler.
That's what you call family lineage right there.
His junior year, he tore his ACL, and it completely destroyed him, and it completely destroyed the team. And I remember one day I was sitting with him at lunch, and I was talking about how awful practice had been, how I was just completely exhausted, and how I was just so done with my coaches, and how I was just so done with the program. And he looked at me and he was like, if you were sitting here in this brace right now, having to walk with crutches, not being able to step on that mat, how would you feel? If you had it ripped away from you overnight and your life was just completely changed, how would you feel? And it made me realize that, like, sure, I hate those moments. I hate the waking up. I hate the listening to my coaches yelling at me at 6 a.m. But I love being able to represent my school, being able to represent myself and my sport. And so there's always going to be the good and the bad in every single situation. But if you only look at the bad, yeah, you're going to absolutely hate it. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel eventually. You just have to keep pushing to get towards it.
Absolutely. And just keep having that grand mindset at the end of the day. Do you think male and female athletes are treated the same in your sport? Why or why not?
So I think I'm going to lean heavily into just wrestling because that is the sport I identify the most with. It's the last sport I competed in. And the answer is no. First and foremost, a little bit of a touchy subject. Women have a nice biological clock that goes off every single month. And
man, I forgot about it.
Yeah. That's something that people do not remember about sports. And a really fun fact about wrestling is your entire body is under stress during wrestling. So if you are experiencing a fun little cramp, you have to control it. You have to push through it on top of also getting thrown around, pushed around, like shoved into the mat. Mm-hmm. And so, no, we are not treated the same in the sport because heaven forbid I complain about a cramp during practice. Mm-hmm. It was immediately like, oh, is it just going to be a rough week for you then? Are you just going to feel a little weak? Oh, or was your time a little slow on that last mile because it's lady problems? Like, okay, how about we put you in this situation because I saw you crying over a Charlie horse last week.
Okay, Charlie horses are pretty bad, but that's all right. Whatever guy that said that was pushing it. That was pushing it. Charlie horses are bad, but I would never go immediately say, "Is it that time of the month?" I'm like, at that point, my own mother would smack me.
Oh yeah.
My mom and my sister and my auntie. It's not a game for you to just say that to a woman. That's crazy.
And what's even worse is it was one of my assistant coaches was the worst about it. Like he would if my mile time was a bit slower because of course it's that time of the month for me, mm-hmm. He would not care. He would expect me to push through it. And honestly, understandable, but at the same time, you gotta cut me some slack. And so, yeah, I was looked at a little bit differently. And then another huge thing, not something I had to deal with because in high school I had a buzz cut, mm-hmm. but our hair, because we had to take time to braid back our hair, put our hair in ponytails. Mm-hmm. So if a braid came undone, if our ponytails came undone, that's something that we had to step aside to fix because that's a hazard. No one wants to get their hair pulled.
Does that happen during the match where it's like if that comes loose, it's like, okay, yeah, we got to stop it so you can do this?
Sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes. Yeah, it's you can call a timeout or sometimes the refs will straight up it's the same thing if you get your headgear ripped off because it's a hazard. Because girls fight dirty. In wrestling, I have been bit, I have been choked, I have been tickled.
Okay.
And so I know plenty of girls that I have wrestled that if they had an opportunity to grab a fistful of my hair to get an advantage, they would. And so it is something that I know would be something that, we would take time out of to fix. But at the end of the day, I don't think I was ever ultimately treated differently. Like my wins were just as celebrated. My losses were just as disappointing. Like the high school still treated me the exact same as a varsity athlete. I still got the exact privileges, the exact same treatment. And so it really just came down to like the mentality of the athletes that I was competing alongside is where I kind of noticed getting treated differently.
Gotcha. I understand. And you know what? I'm going to say this as well. So do you know the term checking oil?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
not something we had to worry about as women.
Yeah. But that's something that a lot of male wrestlers have to like. They that's constantly on their minds if somebody does that. But now when it comes to me, now I play multiple sports as well. I played football, I did basketball, I did wrestling in middle school, and I should have continued doing that. I just didn't really think. I would say when it comes to football, definitely if a female wanted to play football and with pads and stuff, to me it always gave me like a little shock, mostly because like I don't want to like stick a female. And like that's kind of like
that was something that a couple of my male teammates did deal with, because sometimes I would have to practice with them. For context, I am 5'10", 100. I was 190 pounds in high school. I was not a small female, and there was not always girls to practice with me.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I would practice with the guys, and so yeah, sometimes I would be like, okay, you are not giving me your all. So what would I do? I'd hit him as hard as I could, showing that, I can cause you a little bit of discomfort. Okay, now cause me discomfort. Because what am I going to learn from you being easy on me? If I spend the entire season with you practicing on me like I'm made of porcelain, and then I go up against a girl who is trying to actually put me in the ground, what is that going to do for me?
That's fair. That's extremely fair. I will say now, when I did track and field, that's not necessarily an issue because like there are males, and when it comes to the throwing side, there are female weight throw, male weight throw. It's different because like different sizes, different like weights. So that wasn't really an issue like that. Basketball, only trained with the female basketball team once. I don't remember the moment quite vividly, but I was like pretty aggressive, like how I would treat a guy. But I think everybody told me to chill out.
I definitely think it's different with non-contact sports. I mean, basketball is very much a contact sport in some senses, especially like in track and field. I was a thrower. I did discus and shot.
Yeah.
And yeah, my shots were lighter, but our distances were also gravely different.
Yeah.
Like how far we could throw.
Those qualifying marks are much different.
Exactly. So. And then like in basketball, if you watch a female basketball game versus a men's basketball game side by side, it is completely different games. Yeah. The flow, the team dynamic, the way that they're like guarding and defending, it is completely different. And so yeah, it's really hard to compare sports, saying that like one is going to get treated in the other. So like I said, it really just comes down to the people that you are working with and the people you're competing against on how they are going to treat you.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to say, you know what, I'm going to out myself, and I don't really care because this is honest. So when I was doing the judo club, I had to pull out because of like just life in general. And when transferring, your GPA tends to slip from community college to university. When I first did the judo club, there was this one girl I was like tussling with, but knowing how much stronger I gotten from high school to being in college and stuff like that, I was already worried going into judo club about me like just basically like strongmanning myself on people and like just throwing people around. I knew that's not something I want to do because I could easily get my butt kicked. And you know what? Going into judo, I wanted that to happen because that's the only way I was able to learn.
Yeah.
But when it came to her, I was still going like, because it was my first day. I was still going light because I knew that she can most likely kick my butt. I was still going light on her because when I knew I was like much stronger, but I also took that time to learn judo with her.
Yeah.
So if you are in the sport where both male and female athletes, well, both genders coexist, you should learn from one another.
Exactly. I will never get mad at a man for pulling his punches, for being a little lighter on me. However, I will get mad if that man then thinks he's doing me a favor. If he thinks, oh, well, I'm not going as hard on you because I don't want to hurt you. No, who said that you going your full strength was going to hurt me? How do you know my capabilities if you have not allowed me to fully test them against you? Yeah. So if you want to pull your punches, that's on you. If you want to go lighter on me, that's on you. But do not think that you are doing it to save me, because you're not.
Yeah. And like I said, my example I think my example is pretty good because I wasn't, like I said, I knew I was way stronger than a lot of people in that club. But it's important to go when you're doing a sport that not only is contact, but it requires you to be technical. Don't go into a sport thinking with high confidence that you can beat anyone in there. Whenever there is a learning lesson, take it. That's why when I went into there, because I did it with both guys and girls. I didn't care who it was. I was being careful with making sure I didn't do anything stupid to either injure them or injure me. Like those are the times where you need to, like, whatever ego you might have, take a step back.
Yeah, because it's easy to go into a sport and do something that will injure somebody. Mm-hmm. It is so easy. There has been so many times that I have done something that has injured somebody and I felt horrible about it, but I threw that move knowing it could potentially injure them. And there are also plenty of times that I have chose not to throw a move knowing that it could potentially injure somebody. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, with sports where you have to think through every single move that you make, because it's easy to just do something, pull one way, and next thing you know, something's dislocated, something's broken. Mm-hmm. But it's so much harder to make sure you both walk off that mat to know that you can wrestle another round.
Yeah. And that I'm going to add on to that. I'm letting everybody know right now, whatever sport you in, strength doesn't mean jack. Depending on the sport, because if it's football, strength matters. But when it comes to wrestling, judo, any kind of martial arts, strength does not matter. You being more technical than somebody, that matters a lot more. So that anyone out there, if you are competing in wrestling or any other judo sport, or any other martial art, whatever strength you might have, take a step back and learn to be technical. I don't care if my sensei is a guy or girl. You don't care if my partner is a guy or girl. Take that step back and learn.
Pride and ego will never get you a win.
Exactly. The third question is, what are some pressures you felt that people outside of sports wouldn't understand?
This definitely goes back to earlier in this episode where I mentioned wrestling for future generations. Mm-hmm. I did not only feel the pressure of winning for my team, I felt the pressure of every single little girl who was a part of our kids club, who maybe potentially was questioning if this was for her, if this was right for her. And I also felt the pressure of myself. I went into this sport having everything to lose and everything to prove. I could have lost the opportunity to go to state. I could have lost the opportunity to be varsity, to be a captain. And I had to prove that I earned being varsity, that I earned being a captain, that I earned to go to state. And so there was a lot of pressure on that. And then not only that, I had the pressure of potentially being the first D1 women's wrestler that my school ever produced. Mm-hmm. I had that pressure sitting on me too, because I come from a large school. I come from Kansas. My graduating class was about 900 people. I came from a huge school, and my school was known for its athletics. We were known for our football. We were known for our track. We were known for our wrestling.
You can shout out your high school if you want.
Yeah, no. Hey, shout out to Manhattan High School, Manhattan, Kansas.
Wait, Manhattan?
Yes.
Why are you here at UNL? You should be at K-State. You should be at K-State. Kansas. K-State or Kansas.
Yes.
So that's all right. That was the shocking part.
Yes.
Manhattan High School.
Shout out Manhattan High School. But yeah, I came from a large high school where athletics mattered. If you were walking around like wearing athletics gear, students would notice, teachers would notice. Mm-hmm. It was the pride and joy of Manhattan, especially when K-State sports weren't always doing the best. And there were plenty of times that we were, not necessarily me, but our athletics were front page of the paper. And so sometimes I would go walking around and random people would be like, you did so good on Friday at that wrestling match. It was so good seeing you win. Oh, I heard about your win here at the Lawrence Free State. You did so good. I'm so proud of you. It was like, I had the pressure of them, because knowing that is something that they notice and that they look like up to and forward to, that's the pressure that I felt. And so it wasn't like a constant weighing down, something that like caused me anxiety, but it was something in the back of my head, something that I knew I had to kind of deal with and move forward with.
Okay, I understand that. From the male side of things, when it comes to me, if that's the case, Haleigh, does K-State even have a women's program?
No, K-State does not have a wrestling program whatsoever.
Any wrestling program?
No, they have a wrestling club.
Okay. Does Kansas have?
Kansas has D2 and D3 programs, but a lot of them are for men's. There are only about 42 women's wrestling programs collegiately in the United States. And ultimately, I know it's a question a couple people might be wondering why I chose to walk away from college athletics. And there's multiple different reasons, but the number one is I had to choose my sport or my major. I knew that my major, originally I was an architect major. I studied architecture. Really? Yes. I transferred into sports media second semester of my freshman year. So knowing this, going into college, I was looking for colleges with strong architecture programs. And all the colleges that had architecture did not have wrestling, and all the colleges that had wrestling did not have architecture. And so it was me potentially choosing to wrestle for 4 or 5 years at a university and pursue a degree that I was not passionate about and did not want to do, or choose a university that had my degree path and potentially build a 30-year career out of it, but walk away from wrestling. And it was a decision that I spent majority of my senior year pondering over. And honestly, where I'm at today, I'm at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln studying sports media, something I am so passionate about, and I am a manager for the men's wrestling program here. I get to work alongside those coaches, those men, and it is something that I did not see happening. I did not think was going to happen when I gave up wrestling. And so if that's the closest I get to going back on a mat while my time here at Nebraska, I'm perfectly okay with that, because my love for the sport did not end when my involvement in the sport did. Wrestling is a part of my life. It is a discipline that I will carry in my very soul. And so any way, shape, or form that I can be a part of it matters to me.
That's inspirational, because that's something that I believe athletes need to understand, that once you step away, when it comes to high school, when you're a senior, doesn't matter the gender, your time in your sport will end. Some may end later than others. Some may end earlier. Doesn't matter what it is. It's going to end. The question is, do you still want to be around that sport, or do you just want to take yourself completely out of it?
I was going to say, I know some people that they graduate high school, they finish their sport and they're done with it. They go on to college and it's just like, oh yeah, in high school I was a football player. Oh yeah, in high school I was a wrestler. And then there's some people like me to where like I'm involved in some of the I'm involved in the men's wrestling program here at the university. I'm involved in the intramural, and I go and cover women's high school wrestling here in Lincoln. And so you will never stop being an athlete.
Absolutely not.
You will always carry that discipline, that knowledge, that love in your heart, in your soul, in the very being, no matter if you're an athlete for 1 season or 10. And so, yeah, some people, their athletic career might end at high school. Their athletic career might end at college. Their athletic career might end when they're 45 and can no longer compete at the pro level. It is going to end no matter what, but you can dictate how it ends and the way you let it run your life after it ends.
Exactly. Now I should talk about the men's side of things when it comes to the pressures. I would say when it comes to us guys, depending on, I'm going to give myself an example, because when it came to football, the pressures that I got was always, since football was a male-dominated sport, it's always like how many wins we're going to get, how many losses are we going to get, because, I mean, the high school I went to, we weren't known for football, and we were pretty bad at it. Nowadays, we are getting back to, like, good, and I'm proud of my alma mater for them to become better and better. But back when I was playing, we weren't good. And I always hated that stigma of, like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of me coming to y'all games because you're always going to lose? Even though when I have seen our teammates, we've been practicing, we've been grinding hard. But it's the fact that because you're sitting outside when people are not even in the atmosphere of athletics, not even the atmosphere of the locker room, and they want to go and talk to you and talk about, well, y'all ain't good. Y'all coach is a good teacher, but y'all aren't a good team. That puts pressure on us because it's like we're trying our hardest out here. Mm-hmm. But when you do have, and me and David talked about this previous episode, when you do have some teammates who don't take things serious versus teammates where they are taking it serious, and when you have that combination, it makes a bad team.
Yeah.
And I have been in those locker rooms when we had those combinations, and believe it or not, it had really like drained me. Like I can't continue playing this sport because y'all making me hate it.
Yeah. What I have to say is, to those people out there who want to come up and be like, wow, you really didn't look so hot tonight. You really, but like, where is the improvement? Like, you came out and watched me on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. Where were you the other 6 days of this week?
Yeah.
Where were you during the early mornings and the late nights where I would push myself to tears? Because there were many practices where I would walk away, not crying in pain, but just crying because my body had nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And so there will always be someone better than you. You will never be the best. Whether they are dead, alive, or in the future, there will always be someone better than you.
Absolutely.
But you can just push to be the best version of yourself in that moment. So yeah, I can't tell you how many times I had parents, other coaches, other teammates walk up to me and they're like, Haleigh, this was a really rough match. Like, you didn't do so hot. You could have won if you just did this one thing. Well, great. I lost. You know what I learned from it? Next time I can do that one thing. Next time I can go into it with a different mindset. I can go into it at a different headspace. And so, yeah, like, win or lose, you are still improving, but you will only improve if you recognize that the loss happened and that the loss is unchangeable.
Absolutely. And another pressure I will also say that males sometimes go through is the demasculization of, like, just whatever sport it is, it's just demasculating. And let's say, good example, wrestling. If another dude slams another dude, it's like, dang, bro, you done lost. I don't see you as a man like that. Because it's like, bro, you gonna let another man pick you up and slam you on your head? You lost aura, you lost masculinity, stuff like that. When it comes to football, you get pancaked, you get sacked, you let a team score whatever, how many points on you. The first thing that somebody's going to do is like immediately like demasculate you.
Something I have really interesting to add to that is the amount of people that would make me feel less of a woman because of wrestling.
I was going to ask you, I was like, is there an equivalent for demasculizing?
Yes. I guess like defeminizing. I don't know if there's this official word.
That's why I'm thinking that, like, is that the word?
Going back to what I said earlier, I had a buzz cut in high school. That was a choice that I made. Again, multiple reasons behind it. It just happened to play well into my sport. I had a buzz cut. I also had 12-inch biceps and a massive back with a massive wingspan and lats that honestly could make Michael Phelps cry.
That's crazy.
That was a quote my friend told me once. I think it was my junior year of high school that I had lats that could make Michael Phelps cry.
That's hilarious.
There was one point in time where I was over 78% muscle mass. For our audience, an average female is about 32 to 40% muscle mass.
I did not know that.
Yes. And so I was extremely masculine. I had huge muscles. I had no hair. You would never find me in a dress. I was in sweats and a hoodie. And so, yeah, I blended in with the masculine crowd. And something that stands out to me to this day was my junior prom. Mm-hmm. Because I remember I went with my boyfriend at the time, and my boyfriend had long hair. This is a huge, important fact. My boyfriend had long hair. Mm-hmm. He had it braided back. And we ran into some of the wrestling team. And their immediate reaction was, holy smokes, Stokes. My last name is Stokes. Holy smokes, Stokes. I didn't realize there was a girl under there. I was in my prom dress. I was wearing makeup. I had some fake nails. I was in heels. And it was really that moment that I realized, like, as much as some girls want to be seen as one of the guys and treated as one of the guys, like, oh my gosh, I'm just one of the guys. They treat me all the same. Like, in that moment, they saw me as a complete stranger to the person they knew during season. And so, yeah, it is. And it's not something that like a lot of people realize can hurt, because it is something that now today I am extremely girly. I have my nails done. I'm always wearing jewelry. I often wear a lot of makeup. My hair is now grown out to almost my shoulders. And I do dress very girly now. I wear...
Let's just say feminine.
Well, yes, I don't want to feminine. I wear a lot of crop tops. I wear a lot of tight fitting clothes. And I do think that stems a lot from the way I was treated in high school.
Okay. Now, I probably should have specified this.
Yeah.
I wasn't like...
No.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking like, are you sure you want to call it girly? Like, wouldn't the better term be feminine?
I think that it can be seen as both. But I dress in a very traditional sense for a 20-year-old woman.
Gotcha. Now, the next question, okay. We're going to skip over the next question because we already talked about that plenty of times. So what's something that you respect about athletes of the opposite gender? And would you mind if I go first?
Yeah, of course.
So when it comes to the female athlete that I respect the most is, one is the grind mindset. We already talked about that at length today. Another thing, and you talked about it, so I don't need this. I'm going to go ahead and say it, is whenever y'all menstrual cycles come in and how y'all handle it. I respect that a lot, because the fact that you guys are going through that and y'all continue to play the sport, some of y'all don't really care about it. They say, you know what, I'm going through this, but I'm still going to push through it. That's respectable, because I have seen some females use it as an excuse, and it would kind of like take me aback. Like, why? Like, why are you using that as an excuse? You know you can do better than that, because I've seen other females say, I'm going through it this month, but I'm going to continue trying.
I will say an important reminder is every woman's menstrual cycle is completely different. Some women, they have no pain, no problems, whatever. Some women are completely bedridden. And so I wouldn't say that it's dismissible to use it as an excuse, but it is definitely something that a lot of people don't realize is a very gray scale of bad to normal. But yeah, it is something that every woman does face, especially in the world of sports.
Absolutely. Another thing is also that defeminizing and how women address it, especially pro athletes, because you look at the WNBA, you look at tennis, the women's side of things, and you will see guys like, well, I mean, they don't do this, so it's not entertaining, or they have to do this to be more entertaining. They have to do that to be more entertaining. It's like, why do we have to listen to you? This is our sport. We are doing this. And that's respectable to me, because you are not caring what some random male on the internet is talking about. Because let's just be honest, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to like people on the internet, especially the internet trolls, they do not know what they're talking about. Especially the ones that are like, I like a certain kind of female. Okay, how do I?
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. I get it. Sorry, there's a specific thing that they do, but I don't want to necessarily say, because that's not me.
Yeah, there's the stereotypical idea of what a woman is.
Yeah.
And it's something that not against these men who choose to believe in that idea, because there are hundreds of thousands of women that still live in the world that they follow that traditional aspect. But when you brought up kind of like pro athletes, there's one pro woman athlete that has taken the world by storm, and I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, but Ainona Maher, she is the women's rugby star, and she is just phenomenal, because she goes out on the rugby pitch wearing red lipstick, her hair up in a ponytail, wearing red lipstick, and then she absolutely destroys the other team. And honestly, like, she does such a good job at kind of taking back the idea that, like, she's muscular. She is so strong. She's so beautiful. But she takes back the idea that, oh, because I play this really heavy contact sport, I can't be a little girly. I can't wear makeup. I can't do my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like, that is.
Yeah. And you know what? Another thing, well, sorry to interrupt you, but to also add on to that, a lot of those same people would think, they said, well, if she's doing all this, she must be a lesbian. Now, what in your right mind would think she's gay? That's quite odd.
So you're saying you're saying because I cut off all my hair in high school and played and was a wrestler, I was immediately gay? Because that is something I also faced in high school.
Yeah.
Not really something I thought I'd bring up, but that like, are you saying because I look and act a certain way and play a certain sport that immediately dictates my sexuality? Because it doesn't.
Also, like, because you talked about her being buff. Nothing wrong with a woman that lifts weight. There's nothing wrong with it. But when somebody has a problem with it, it's like, dude, you're obviously like, you're showing like who you really are.
And yeah, and speaking from like my perspective on male, like the men that I've like worked alongside and seen in sports, something that I so much respect about them is, and this is especially for my friends on the men's gymnastics team, because I went and watched them last night at the opening night of the.
Funny enough, I was the event staffer, so I didn't necessarily see, but I did like listen and hear the crowd. The fact that we barely lost.
Yeah, well, something is the sexualization of men's sports.
I forget.
I had the interesting privilege to sit in front of a group of girls last night. Mind you, I'm watching my friends sexualize my friends. Oh my gosh, their arms are so big. Oh my gosh, I bet they have such a great six-pack under there. I wonder what type of man he is. Like, it's that type of thing. And it is not only in men's gymnastics, but just men's sports in general, because I cannot tell you how many times I've been at football games, wrestling meets, and it's just like, yeah, these men work so hard to hone their bodies, and they're reduced to something good to look at. And so that is something that I respect about just men in athletics, is because, yeah, like, they are so heavily sexualized, and it has become so normal in today's media for them to be like that, and for them to get treated like that. And it sometimes honestly like really hurts my feelings, because I know, like, if that's how I was treated in my sport, I would start a riot.
Yeah. And you know what? I can contest that as well, because that has been like the biggest thing for like all sports, of the sexualization of women as well. But it came to a point when the moment I chanced to hear at UNL, where I think I overheard somebody who was working with athletics. I don't know their name. I don't know who they are, but I overheard when there would be some men who would go down either to the dance or the cheerleaders area during football games, or even basketball games and stuff like that, just to see the cheerleaders, like, or the dancers just do whatever. And I'm like, dude, they're not. Yes, it's for entertainment, but it's not anything sexual. The fact that you're just sexualizing women is already like, you need to get your mind checked. Like, dude, women are also creatures. Everybody's human. Everybody's human. Don't dehumanize somebody to a sexual object. Doesn't matter who they are. If they are an athlete or a non-athlete, don't dehumanize somebody to a sexual object.
Like, don't get me wrong. I will be the first one to point out if someone is attractive or not. But I will do that regardless if they are a normal person walking down the street or a football player. It does not matter. But I will not make that the whole reason that I am choosing to attend that event.
Exactly.
Because, especially last night, gymnastics is not an easy sport. It is about control. It is about discipline. It is so much. And it means a lot to the men's gymnastics team having a crowd like that there, because they're not often a sport that people go to thinking about supporting. And so if you are going to go there, support them for their wins, for their successes, not because how good they look in a leotard.
Now we are moving on to segment 2, recruiting differences. Haleigh, so when it comes to Haleigh, sorry, that's gonna take a little bit because whenever I saw your name, I was thinking Haleigh.
Yep.
But since Haleigh, I know another woman named Haleigh, but it was spelled way different.
Yep.
So I just need to give me a couple days. Main question. When did recruiting first become real for you, and what did the process look like?
Recruiting became real to me my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, you were dominating, huh?
Oh,
You playing BTA to the other females. You over here. Whenever you step in that mat, you said, "Come here."
Well, it was actually we were at a duel, and I had just lost. And the coach of the opposing team came up to me. And so it wasn't even for collegians. And he looked at me and he's like, I have never seen someone hold up as well against her as you did. Because mind you, she was 8th in the nation.
Oh.
And she wrestled up. Yes. I'm not going to shout out to her, but she is still a very close friend of mine today. And she taught me a lot about wrestling.
I mean, you can shout out anyone you want. You can shout out anyone you want.
Olivia, I'm talking to you. I'm going to be sending you this later.
When I'm done editing, because it is going to take a long time for me to do this.
Shout out to Bonner Springs High School, because this is the high school that I was wrestling at.
Okay.
Their coach walked up to me and he was like, I've never seen someone hold up against her like that. I would love to have you on our team. Mind you, this is illegal.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's high school. In high school as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom was there and the coach went up and started talking to my mom, and my mom looks at me and she's like, we could move and you could wrestle for Bonner Springs. And so that's the kind of the real like moment that I kind of noticed recruiting. And then I got in touch with kind of college recruiting the beginning of my junior season. And I got like in touch with kind of the agent that was like assigned to helping me. And that was kind of like when coaches starting, but I never had coaches come out and see me actually. I sent a lot of my tapes to them, a lot of film. And so when I started getting feedback from these coaches, it was kind of like, it was honestly weird because we always see and hear about people getting recruited. You always hear about the processes, the visits, like them coming out and scouting you. But that never really happened for me. It was very different. But also women's wrestling was also still like very growing within like the collegiate realm at that point. There were only a handful of like huge prominent programs. And I wasn't really getting scouted by very many of those. And finally, when I did get scouted by a large scale program, which I will not announce because I did obviously end up decommitting from them.
You don't have to announce it.
That was really interesting for me because like going on that like trip and seeing their facilities and seeing some of these wrestlers that I looked up to and knowing that like, okay, like I could actually be on a team with these people. It was humbling. Because I didn't see myself at that program. I didn't see myself being a part of this team, wearing these colors, repping that pride. And because it is a very prideful school. And
you're telling me.
And so like walking away from that, it was weird to say the least. But recruiting looks different for everybody. And mine flipped overnight. I went from just kind of being not nobody, but a nobody in the recruiting world to all of a sudden having a large scale school repping my name.
That's awesome. That is awesome. When it comes to my side of things, now, because mostly I got recruited for track and field and football. Now for football, high school, I wasn't necessarily the best football player. I wasn't necessarily good, if I'm going to be honest with myself. Even though people can easily look at my highlights and stuff like that, I still was not a good player. I know for sure I could have did better. But I wasn't really recruited like that. Like the highest offer I really got was Division III in football. And that was all the way in a random school in the state was West Virginia. That's where I found that out. And I was mean like, there were a couple things like I would have been their first recruit with the new coaching staff. The thing with that is I didn't want to go all the way out to West Virginia because like that's too far for me. So outside of that, I had some NAIA schools come after me. Didn't necessarily, to be honest, I didn't respect NAIA like that, like I do now, because I was like, I wanted to come to Nebraska, but because of how my high school career went, that wasn't an option.
It is hard going into recruiting, wanting a specific school, wanting like going into recruiting, wanting to be at UNL, and then UNL not even giving you a time of day. And so I definitely think that's something that like if you are a current high schooler prepping for your recruitment journey or in your recruitment journey and you are not getting attention from the school you want, unfortunately, you have to lower your expectations.
Exactly. Like you have to be honest, respect all levels of college sports. Doesn't matter if it's NAIA, D3, D2, D1 AA, or just straight D1. Like respect all levels. Even JUCO. I went to a JUCO. I went to Iowa Western. Was I recruited to go there? No. I was a walk-on on their track and field team.
Don't forget, if you are a collegiate athlete of any aspect, especially one in the form of recruiting, you are a part of the 0.3%.
Yeah.
Do not forget that you are beating almost an impossible statistic. So regardless if it is D3, NAIA, or D1, you are still beating out so many other people. And so do not for 1 second take for granted the resources that are spent on you while you are being recruited, because it's not just as simple as clicking on a highlight and sending an email. There is a whole team that goes into reaching out to you and offering you a spot.
Absolutely. And you know what? Because I think a lot of people don't talk about this. You know, I'll probably save that for a different time, but people who know what a prep school is, prep schools is something else, but with a prep school is also it's slightly touchy because there are some prep schools that are real and some prep schools that are fake. So I would recommend if somebody is getting recruited to do prep school stuff, you need to do your research before going to do anything prep school wise. And with a prep school, you're technically going to reclassify.
Yeah. And another important thing with recruitment is know your value as an athlete.
Absolutely.
Like if you are a state championship with national titles, don't let some D3 school talk you down to their level. Like it might seem hard holding out for a D2 or a D1 program to come after you, but recruiting season lasts so long. So if in the first month you only have D3 offers, don't settle. Because if you are one of those top athletes, it might take time for a larger program to notice you, but I guarantee you they will.
And you know what? If there does come a point to where you want to walk on, talk to whatever school you want to about a walk-on spot. Walking on isn't as bad as people think. Sure, it's a lot more grindy, but hey, you're doing it for the love of the game.
Exactly.
You're doing it for the competition. Which is why it's like when I went to Iowa Western and when I did talk to their track and field coaching staff, I wanted to become a walk-on because I'm like, yeah, there's no scholarships. I didn't really care about the scholarships. I just wanted to throw again.
Yeah.
Even though like I wasn't the best, but I still competed pretty well.
Yeah.
Next question is, did you feel like opportunities came to you or did you have to? I think we already talked about that.
Well, just to touch on it very lightly. Yeah. So many opportunities came to me, yes. But there was so much work that went into before them. That went into that. And so there was a lot of work I did before my recruiting started that led to the opportunities I had. And I did kind of slow down a little bit my senior year just to kind of preserve myself almost. Mm-hmm. So I say it's a good mix of both.
I also say the same thing. It was a good mix of both. How did exposure camps or social media play a role into your recruiting?
Almost none. Zero whatsoever. I did almost no camps. I did almost no, like my social media was personal. There was very little wrestling aspect on it. Mm-hmm. I would like to think that my exposure was just taking down top names at big time tournaments and working with my recruitment advisor. I did not know what I was doing going into recruiting. I honestly still don't know much about recruiting, even though I see it at the collegiate level now. And so I can't say that I did much when it comes to like camps, exposure, social media.
Yeah. You know what? Because in track and field, all the exposure camps and social media, I don't know how that works. Social media, it does slightly work like that, because if you whenever you're throwing, you record it, you record the distance, see how far you can throw, and then people can obviously see that. And it's like, okay, well, he or she's a pretty good thrower. So you can get recruited off of that. But majority of the time, there are like certain websites that will like let a coach know, it's like, okay, this person's good at this. This person has whatever sport they are, they're pretty good at this. And yeah, when it came to football on my side of things, so I didn't get much exposure at my high school, mostly because, my high school just wasn't very good at football. And even though we were really trying, we just wasn't good. When it came to, there are like exposure camps for football and social media, you do have, like, there are times where you do have to record yourself, like doing certain things, like show coaches that you have like certain skill sets. But but exposure camps, yeah, that's the thing in football. And I remember to go into those exposure camps for football, you had to pay a certain amount of money. And from freshman to junior year, even during COVID, well, there wasn't anything for COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't anything for COVID. You had to pay money. And knowing my mom, I didn't want to ask her for money to go to these exposure camps because, one, she's working and who's going to take me, and two, that's money that we can use to do other things, other more important things than that. So I had to take a step back and not ask her about that stuff until my senior year, going into my senior year, where she obviously gave me the opportunity because we had the funds to do it. But unfortunately, before I even had the chance to go to that exposure camp, I had partially torn a ligament in my thumb playing football with my other teammates. It was non-contact too. So that's how quickly your chances can get ruined. Just like that, it can instantly get taken away from you.
Yeah.
So exposure does play a lot when it comes to, depending on the sport, exposure does play a lot when it comes to recruiting and camps. But just keep in mind that if you do plan on going to exposure camps or something like that, there are certain fees you're going to have to pay. And before you even do it, don't injure yourself or don't do anything stupid beforehand. That's just my biggest advice. Don't do what I did. Even though you want to have fun with your teammates, not all the time. It's not a good time. What was the hardest part of the recruiting process for you mentally?
Envisioning myself at that program, because there were so many schools that reached out that I'd never heard of or I'd only heard of in passing. And you can't just pick a program. Because you're not just going to that college just for that sport. You're going for classes. You're going for ultimately college experience. And so they can have the best program in the country and have a sucky campus.
Ah, yeah.
Or just like a really bad academics, or just like all around, or just being a part of the country you never saw yourself living in, like West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, we're
not digging on West Virginia.
No, we're not digging on West Virginia.
We're not digging on West Virginia. Okay, just clarify. Sorry.
No, yeah, of course, no. And so it's important to kind of take back a moment and be like, okay, Nebraska just offered me a position. I'm from Kansas. It's my neighboring state. It's close to home. But is Nebraska much different than Kansas? Do I really want to go to Nebraska if I can just stay here? And it's like, what kind of life am I going to lead in Nebraska outside of sports? And I had to really do that on a lot of schools. And that was not always the easiest. And so I think that was like the hardest part mentally was like, if I did choose a program, is it one that I was going to love? And ultimately, the program I did choose and left, I remember one of my first times there and one of my first times envisioning myself, I was like, I hate this place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can be here. Then I sat with it longer and I'm like, but some of these girls in this program are going places and I want to be a part of that. And so the more it sat with me, I was like, oh, yeah, I can do with this program. That took about 2 months to get to that point.
Jeez. When it came to the hardest part for me, but you know what? All right, before I say my side, that's something that a lot of people don't really understand about the recruiting process. It takes a lot out of you mentally. It's like there are multiple offers coming at me all at once. It's like this school wants me, this school wants me, that school wants me. And you don't know which school to pick. Even when you go to official visit, you're still like, oh, I don't know. It's important to just sit down, think, and just sit down by yourself and think. What school is best for you academically? Because I think that's what a lot of athletes are not, student athletes are not thinking about is what is the campus life like? What is the academics like? What is the dorm life like? Like, well, not only that, whatever the experience is.
You have to remind yourself this is the next 4 to 6 years of your life.
Exactly. And that's what NIL is kind of ruined, is that people are like, I don't really care about all that. I just care about the money. I'm like, the money, sure, you can care about the money, but I think the experience will last forever. Money doesn't last forever. Experience will. When it came to Alexander the Great, he came in the world with nothing, built wealth, and left the world with nothing.
I was about to say, when I graduate from Nebraska, I'm going to be proud to be a Cornhusker. Yeah. I'm going to be proud to rep the scarlet and cream. Mm-hmm. I know so many people that can't say that about their universities. Heck, my older sister, like, she absolutely loves her university. My dad doesn't talk about his. You will never, like, I don't even know what college he went to. Mm-hmm. Doesn't care about it. My sister, oh my gosh, always wearing her college, always repping her college. And it's like, that's the type of person I want to be. And so, yeah, you have to choose your college based off of where you are going to not only succeed, but be happiest.
Exactly. And you know what? When it comes to me, I'm going to be happy that I graduated a Husker, graduating the Scarlet and Cream. But I also got to understand, because I am repping 2 schools, because I went to a community college for this. I'm a Reaver. I rep the blue and black. That's all. That's blue, black, and blue, black,
think about it.
Blue, white, and black. But it's still go blue. That is also my school. So I rep 2 schools, and you know what? I'm damn proud to be a Reaver. I love being a Reaver. I love that school. Just like how I love it here. I represent 2 schools, and I'm going to make sure I rep both of them. And that's what a lot of people are not thinking about. Is like when you leave this school, it's like, what's going to carry you more, the money or the experience?
Yeah.
If the money's going to carry you,
why are you doing it?
Yeah, why are you doing it? Like, there's no love for it.
Exactly. That's something I know so many people have dealt with, is losing the love of your sport. And it's something that I struggled with too. Mm-hmm. And so it is a choice, and you have to really love not only your sport, but the place that you're going.
Absolutely. On to the next question. Do you think recruiting is fair? Do you think recruiting is fair across genders? Why or why not? To be honest, I don't know anything about female recruiting, and this is exactly why I wanted a female co-host.
Yes.
Because I don't know a lick of how females get recruited. I don't know anything.
I think female recruiting is, yes, fair. And some people might be shocked by that answer. And let me put it this way. They're not going to look at you for a women's wrestling position.
Exactly. Like, why? Like, let me look at a guy for women's wrestling. Why?
And so if, say me and you went to the same high school, we trained under the same program, we have almost exactly identical stats. Okay?
Yeah.
I think a D1 program is going to look at us the same, potentially. I mean, if we both did well and they both have openings for us in the respectful positions, they're going to look at us the same because we both have the stats, the career, I don't even know what the other word would be, but we have what it takes to catch their attention.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like there is not a single collegiate sport where a guy and a girl are going to be recruited for the exact same position. That is how collegiate sports work. They're either going to have a men's wrestling program and a women's wrestling program or one or the other, but you're not going to see them looking at a woman for a men's wrestling team.
Okay, yeah, that specific.
Once I explain it a little better,
yeah, because the first thing that came to my mind was track and field, and I'm like,
But even then, they still recruit the same amount of females and the same amount of males for each event.
For that.
So it is a sport where, yes, you are all on the same team together, but you will still compete with your individual gender for your individual event.
That's true. So, and to be honest, I have nothing to say to that because it's exactly the way she said, but just on the male side. Like, there's no reason for a coach to recruit a woman for men's basketball, for football, for men's soccer. There's no reason for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you put in the work, you have just as much a chance as one of your teammates, regardless of their gender. And so it's about work ethic, not gender at that point.
Yeah. All right. Now, what advice would you give younger athletes trying to get recruited? My advice is, 1, make sure you have a 3.0 GPA and above. Straight up, just have that. Because if there's a 2.5 there, 1, you're slacking, and 2, get that up because no coach is going to look at. You can be the best football player, the best basketball player. You can be the best whoever you are. But if coach looks at, I'm going to say this. Let's say I'm Matt Rule.
I mean, I mentioned this earlier, 3.5 to be safe, everyone. 3.5.
Yeah, to be safe. Let's say I'm Matt Rule. And I am getting ready to recruit QB. Separating, I'm not, this is a random QB. Yeah, random QB. Not digging on any of the QBs at UNO. But let's say I'm Matt Rule and I'm looking at a QB. And there's a 4-star QB that he's looking and that I'm looking at. And I say, okay, he has everything that I would want. Then I go ahead and talk to the coach because some high school coaches could lie for the recruit, but obviously the coach is going to look at the GPA and stuff like that. The coach, but some coaches don't know. Majority of coaches, they have no reason to lie to a college coach. I'm talking to the coach. Tell me everything about this player. He says some stuff I like. But the moment that he says, well, coach, to be honest, he's having some trouble in class. What kind of trouble? Grade. What's his GPA looking like? He's about a 2.5. Why is he that low? That's average. Why is he average? He does it to where he's eligible, but not failing. Okay. I appreciate your time, coach. I'm going to hang up the phone.
Yeah. Reminder to everyone, there is such thing as an academic All-American.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that universities hold very, very high. Because in the NCAA, especially in the Big Ten, if there is one thing schools like to flaunt more than their national titles, it is their academics.
Mm-hmm.
Because they love to show off, hey, we might not have a great football program, but look at these 4.0s. Look at these great student athletes that we are fostering here at the university.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, academics. Mind you, we are called student athletes for a reason. We are students first. Do not become an athletic student,
mm-hmm.
because that will get you nowhere. Because if your athletic career does end at college, and it does end with you getting your degree, walking across that stage, what job is potentially going to look at you and be like, okay, you were number one QB, but what's with this 2.9 college GPA? And so I definitely agree with that. And my advice is, if you go into it expecting to go to one school, expecting to be at one program, expecting greatness, you are only going to disappoint yourself.
Yeah.
Because especially if you were not top in your program, like there are so many of our second string guys that thought they were going to go big. Some of them did, and I applaud them so much for that. But if you are not at the top of your program, do not expect to get top of the program recruits.
Absolutely.
Like, you have to go into it knowing your value as an athlete and knowing the universities that are going to see that value.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring two more things. One, make sure you know who you're hanging around, because that's another thing that goes under people's heads, because as we were like it or not, people are going to get jealous and people are going to try to put you in a situation where you can easily get in trouble and that scholarship can get taken away from you. And that combos with the second thing I was going to say. If at any given point in high school, doesn't matter if you're a freshman, when you're a freshman going throughout high school, do not have anything that says that you were suspended for anything.
Those recruiters will literally dig up a detention you had in middle school.
Yeah.
I should know because some recruiters did it to me. I had a bad run my freshman year. I got some detentions. I got some in-school suspensions. And I cannot tell you how many times recruiters would pull out this manila folder with all of these dates and incidents highlighted and circled and be like, explain this. What went on here? What's this? And fortunately, that didn't prevent me from still getting an offer. But from the moment you step into high school, if you want to get recruited, your life is under a microscope.
Yeah, like you talked about this earlier, and I can contest to this. When you're in high school and everybody knows you're an athlete, everybody knows. So you can't just necessarily be like, well, I'm just an athlete, I'm just making stupid decisions. No, because if you're an athlete, you can't afford to make stupid decisions.
And that includes things that happen outside of school as well.
Exactly. You get arrested, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're cooked.
So speeding tickets. Speeding tickets I've seen. One kid, not from my high school, but another high school, caught with a fake ID his senior year. All of a sudden, everything was pulled. Gone, done. He was like 2 weeks out from announcing his official offer, and all of a sudden just disappeared off the map.
That's all it takes, is just you just messing up once.
I'm not saying that you have to be a perfect little angel going throughout high school, because you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna stumble, you're human.
Yeah.
But if you value athletics enough for it to become your life and for you to work hard towards recruiting, you got to value the decisions you make that are going to affect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to move on to the third segment, the benefits of playing sports growing up. How does sports shape who you are today outside of athletics?
Yes. I started sports at the ripe age of 3. That might sound crazy to a lot of people, but that is completely normal to me. And it taught me routine, schedule. Honestly, probably gave me a little bit of OCD. But outside of athletics, it's still something that I work with to this day. I am 15 minutes early. I am one of the last people to leave. If extra work needs to be done, regardless if it's something I actually want to do or not, I'll put in the work, because it's always what I've done. And so athletics have taught me not only that, but also sportsmanship, which is necessary outside of the world of sports, because there are going to be people, believe it or not, that you do not like working with, that you do not want to be around.
Tell me about it.
And you're going to have to suck it up and go throughout it, because you're not always going to be able to change seats and sit across the classroom. You're not always going to be able to tell your teacher that you don't want to work with them on a group project. Like, there are plenty of my teammates that, like, I would see them at practice and I'm like, I could just put their head through a wall and that would be that. But I couldn't. And I had to bite my tongue and deal with it.
I also agree with that. Heck, but I didn't go at 3 when I was 3. I was probably like 5 or something. What life lesson have you learned from sports you still use today?
Patience.
Yep, absolutely. I talked about that last episode.
Oh yeah, I would see the older kids doing cooler things, especially in cheer and gymnastics. I would watch them throw these awesome flips, get their splits, win all these medals, and I'm like, oh well, I've been doing this for 2 years. I'm not there yet. They've been doing it for 8.
Yep. Do you think sports help you build confidence, and in what way? Well, I mean, you already talked about it, so I'll just go ahead and cut that out.
Yeah.
If you could go back to middle school, what would you tell your younger self as an athlete?
It's going to be hard. It's going to mentally break you at times.
Same.
But especially at the point I'm in now, almost 20 years old and about 2 years out of athletics, take every opportunity you get and do not walk away early.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're going on to segment 4, faith and God in the athlete's journey.
Yeah. So my faith has always been super big for me within athletics. And it's something that I still carry on today, even with like watching my friends. I will always pray over them, regardless if I know that they are religious or not, because like I mentioned earlier this episode, my friend who got injured his junior year, his life completely shattered. Sports was his world. And I have carried my fair share of injuries. And so knowing that even if it's just simply sending a little prayer out to anything and everyone, and knowing that there is some invisible force behind you, it honestly carried me so far during my lowest moments, during some of my injuries, during some of my losses, just knowing like it's okay and I can move forward.
Absolutely. Now we're going on to segment 5. Who are you outside of your sport?
This is honestly a really hard question to answer because my sport has been my life. My sports have been my personality. And it's something I honestly had to discover in like when I came to college. And first and foremost, I'm a daughter and a sister. Mm-hmm. I'm a total mama's girl, and I am my old big sister's like completely attached to her at the hip when I'm with her. And so it's just kind of remembering that without your sport, you still have things that make life worth it. Like I absolutely love reading. I absolutely love doing my hobbies. And so while a part of me will always be attached to my sport, outside of my sport, I'm just Haleigh and all of the fun little quirkiness that comes with it.
What motivates you when you don't feel like training or competing?
What motivates me even now when because I still keep in shape and I still do a lot of my old training, is that like it's what connects me to who I used to be and who the person that used to compete. And in high school, what motivated me was knowing that the end was near, knowing that I potentially don't choose to wrestle in college, and knowing that like this goes back to earlier when I mentioned looking up to the older kids and being like, well, they have all these skills and I don't. Well, now I'm becoming the older kid and the little kids are looking up to me and they're saying, well, she's winning. She's doing all of this. And so just kind of becoming the person that I looked up to.
What does success mean to you beyond stats and wins?
Success means to me being happy with the person I see in the mirror. Because if one thing that sports has taught me, your biggest opponent is yourself. Because you're with yourself 24/7. You know every single mistake you made before anyone else does. So you could literally spend every hour of the day tearing yourself down, finding every single misstep that you made. And so success to me is looking in the mirror and knowing that like I did my best, knowing that I'm proud of who I've become. Because sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I think about choosing to not do college athletics. Sometimes I think about choosing not to take that one deal, that one opportunity. But at the end of the day, I'm happy of where I'm standing today, and that's success to me.
Absolutely. How do you want people to remember you as an athlete?
I want them to honestly remember me as like the crazy athlete who just pushed without losing herself, because some people do. But I also want to be remembered as the athlete who built something. Being one of the first female wrestlers from my high school and being one of the people that helped build the program, my name is forever immortalized at my high school. I'm not saying that to like pat my own back, but there are plenty of times to where like even now I'll go back and it's like, oh, she's one of the first captains. Like she's one of the first wins that this high school had for women's wrestling. And so that's what I want to leave behind, is like not just what I did, but what I started.
Absolutely. And you know what? I just want to clarify just real quick. Even if someone's out there, even if you don't achieve that goal of like having your name immortalized, the fact that you got to experience that journey at that high school, you should remember.
Yeah.
Even though there are always going to be good times and bad times at the high school, but it's also just as good as if you remember the experience that you had while you were there. Even though the stats may not show it on the high school or whatever, the fact that you got to experience your time there and you have love for your alma mater, that should be enough.
Yeah, and I do.
One awareness tip for athletes.
You cannot push yourself to a breaking point.
Yeah.
In athletics, you are the instrument. You are the tool. You won't see a band kid beating his saxophone against a wall. You won't see, I mean, depending on the time, but you won't see someone in esports completely tearing down their console and setting it on fire. You will not see an orchestra conductor cutting the strings on their instrument. You cannot, if your body starts hurting, if you start feeling yourself breaking down, you have to rest. One rest day is not going to set back your progress. Mm-hmm. But if you break yourself, if you tear something, if you break a bone, that can be the end.
Absolutely. You know what? My awareness tip is don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like have pressure, but don't put so much pressure on yourself, because you will combust. You will, like, if the moment you don't live up to that pressure, now you're just mentally draining yourself. You're not putting yourself in a good position. One common mistake.
Playing your sport for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
To all of the legacy kids whose parents are living vicariously through you, if you do not love your sport, if you only step on that mat to make them happy, if their mood is dictated on how well you do, walk away from the sport. Stand up to them, because you are not doing anything for yourself and you're not doing anything for them. Because or just not even your parent, but anyone in general, because as hard as it's going to say, you will never live up to what they want for some reason. Absolutely. If they are putting that pressure on you, you're never going to be good enough. And I'm not saying that you are not good enough at your sport, but in your eyes, because they're going to see you as themselves and they're going to be like, well, I could have done better. So why aren't they doing better?
Absolutely. And you know what? Mine is basically the same thing, but a little different. The only difference would be you going to play a sport, and we're going back to like sexualizing women. You going to play a sport because you want to like basically have all the females for the male side of things. If you're a guy and you think of that, I'm going to let you know right now, you better drop those expectations immediately. You go to football and you expecting to see cheerleaders, it's all fun and games till somebody cracks you and it's all over. It's all fun and games in basketball till somebody breaks your ankles and now it's over. It's all fun. Like, don't play a sport because you're trying to get somebody else's attention.
Yeah.
Play a sport because it was a genuine interest and you love it. One foundational quality.
Mental health. mental health and mental well-being. Every single sport, above all else, above being physical, above being technical, is mental. Because you have to love it, you have to know it, you have to understand it, you have to be in the right headspace for it. And so if you feel your mental health slipping, just like if you feel your body slipping, walk away. Doesn't have to be forever, but walk away.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. Now we're moving on to closing questions for the ending. What is one message you would give to young male and female athletes right now? For young males, it's, well, we discussed about this. Don't rush yourself. Take your time, go through the high school experience, let your body gradually grow into the position. If you don't put yourself to where you need to rush because you see other people getting offers early. Take your time. Everybody grows differently, and just experience. Just go through the experience.
Yeah, and for the young female athletes, don't let anyone tell you how to do your sport.
Amen.
Unless it is your coach or an older athlete in the same position, do not let anyone tell you how to do your sport, because 90% of the time it's people who are either parents of athletes or never even did the sport themselves. And it is important that you're doing your sport the way that you want to do it, because there are 1,000,001 ways to be a wrestler, 1,000,001 ways to be a cheerleader. And every single way is right in its own reason. So live that truth and do the sport the way you think is right.
Absolutely. What's something you could wish more people understood about athletes like you?
Just because I'm a multi-sport athlete does not mean I quit or left my sport. It does not mean that I gave up and chose that my sport was just difficult. There are multiple different reasons I have left every single one of my sports, and it was not a decision I made overnight. It is a decision that nearly broke me every single time. And so, if you are thinking about leaving a sport, do not let anybody convince you otherwise. Because once the idea of leaving a sport comes into your mind, it is either your mind being like, yep, that's it, guess we're walking away. Or it is your mind being like, that is the worst idea I've ever had. I cannot imagine my life without it.
Absolutely. And I got nothing to say to that, to be honest. I would also say the same thing. The last question is, if you could describe your journey in one sentence, what would it be?
The thing I am most grateful for in life.
Mine would be lots of ups and downs, but fulfilling. Ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with this. Male or female, different paths, different challenges, but the same grind, the same sacrifice, the same search for purpose. So wherever you are in your journey, keep working, stay grounded, and don't let your identity stop at your sport. All right, so that is this week's episode of GameTime TV. Remember, if you like topics like this and want to listen to more, please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to GameTime TV on YouTube. We are available on KRNU and all other podcast streaming platforms. Don't forget to follow GameTime TV on Instagram and TikTok, and GameTYT on X. This is Loren signing off.
And this is Haleigh signing off.
We'll see you later next time. Peace.